talk about today is the 5 elements of life. It comes from very ancient Chinese philosophy that the energy continuously moves and shifts and transforms. All the time there is a shift that's happening. You probably saw yin-yang sign, yeah? The black and white rounded sign, and it looks like the energy is shifting, and there is a tail that goes into the head. So the white tail goes into black head, the black head goes into white tail, and it's like 2 dragons moving together, right? In the middle of the black part of this yin-yang sign, there is a white dot. In the middle of the white part, there is a black dot. Why do you think it's happening? But what's even more interesting, that part of this is always there and part of that is always here. So it's never separate. Masculine, feminine, never separate. Strong and weak, never separate. Gravity and lightness, never separate. It's constantly moving within each other. In a medical traditional way, we separate things. The imbalance in the body shows up in many different ways. It can show up as pain, it can show up as not sleeping well, it can show up as being intolerant. I was imbalanced for 2 months. You should see me, my husband. Oh my God, I feel for you. Like that. And I bring myself to balance, and 5 minutes later, now, there are 5 elements in Chinese system. Water, wood, fire, air or matter, and earth. What element do you think I am?
Fire.
Anybody has any doubt about water?
Water and air.
Water or air? No, I'm fire. How many people thought I'm fire? Yeah, of course. Most of the people. Right. So now, unbalanced fire. It burns. Yes? 3rd degrees, I promise. So what happens when fire is unbalanced? It burns. But fire can also be dampened. It can lose its power. What happens to that fire?
It goes out.
Before it goes out.
It goes down.
It smokes.
Exactly. That thing, not good. No clarity, and you cannot breathe around that type of fire. So balancing my fire is extremely important to me, right? But how many things get you unbalanced? Now, earth element. Maybe some of you know that about yourself. You are a solid rock for people. When you know something, nothing can move you. You are very grounded and you know what's up. But then, you're not nourished, you're depleted, and you crack. That thing happens, doesn't look pretty, right? Things start falling through the cracks. You can't support anybody, you cannot stand on your own feet. And then you become that depleted earth that cannot be fertile anymore, that cannot nourish anything or anybody, and especially itself. Anybody knows that about yourself?
Stop talking about my life.
I'm so sorry. Right. Then we have water. Water brings life, right? Without water, trees do not grow. The beauty of the earth is gone. It's not nourished anymore. Unbalanced water. What do we think about unbalanced water? How does that look? Tsunami. Anybody knows that? Boiling water. Too much fire. The water gets boiled. What happens? Yeah.
Sound.
Now, some years ago, we went to Niagara Falls, and there is this little part of Niagara Falls that you can go under. It's like 1%, I think. It really brings you to life when that little bit of the water, which is a lot of water, goes, and it's cold, goes right over you. It wakes you up like nothing else. Now take that same thing 100%, it will kill you. That's your unbalanced water. It's not better than unbalanced fire. Then the wood element. Wood element is the element that brings the spring. When you see the wood starting growing the leaves and blossoming, your whole emotional state is different, right? You go through the winter and it's cold and you cannot wait, and you go to the store and you try to buy something springish and it's not happening in Chicago. And then all of a sudden you have this green leaves. And it happens like all of a sudden to me. Maybe I'm not noticing, right? So unbalanced wood. What do you think of unbalanced wood? How does it show up?
Rotting.
It's rotting. How? What else?
Splinters.
Hmm?
Splinters, it cracks.
Yeah, it cracks. It gives all kinds of splinters. So these are the things that I'm talking about. Is not just in nature. You can relate to that in your personality, right? Every organ has something to do with balancing a particular element. Now, everybody experiences that energy of rejection once in a while, right? Oh, they don't love me, they don't want me. Yeah, especially around Valentine's Day. It's a good energy. It's like, oh, they didn't give me something that I was hoping for. All right, so that's the energy of the fire that's being dampened. And so when you feel that the fire is not happening, you either go into this creating more fire and trying to bring yourself up to enthusiasm and happiness, and if it's not happening, you almost die there, and it affects your heart and your lungs. The lungs is the element of air, also element of metal. So what happens when the lungs are not balanced? You cannot breathe. When you cannot breathe, air is not there. What happens to your heart? You have all kinds of problems with the heart, but also your heart cannot be happy. It starts crying, but actually, that's what's interesting. The heart never cries. Heart is the fire, never cries. It actually expresses joys. Sometimes the anger comes up. Anger is liver. Liver is wood element. So when the wood element is not balanced, the wood feeds the fire. The fire, the heart, goes on fire, expresses anger. But it's not the energy of the heart at all. It's the energy of the liver that does it. So what happens when you all of a sudden feel that you're being rejected, or you feel that you are angry in the heart? It's unbalanced energy. It has nothing to do with your heart at all. Angry heart creates heart problem. That's what it is. Why? Because the energy, the vibration, does not belong in the heart. It belongs down here. Just before you came in, we had a study group, metric study group, and we were working on properly aligning the energy of the body. So the lower energies, they also have lower sound, and it has more dense colors, like red and orange and yellow, and they belong down there. When you bring this energy up, you get unbalanced. So every organ depends on how every element is balanced within your body. Water. Water is the energy of the kidneys, and it belongs down here, right? Where do we see water in our body when we are rejected? Anybody cries over rejection? This is not balanced energy. Now, lungs also never cry. But what do we do? Is that a cry? It looks like a cry, but what it is really is grasping for air. It has nothing to do with crying. It's grasping for air. So every time we have this expression of sadness or anger or resentment or fear or anything like that that happens out here, is the unbalanced energy from here comes up, and it really disturbs the rest of the organs. So when you have a heart problem, you might not have a heart problem. It might be the lungs that are grasping for air. Or it may be anger, maybe the wood element is not balanced and you're angry at something, and your liver cannot detoxify your body, and therefore it's sending all that stuff up, and you start screaming on top of your lungs, What is screaming? What do you need to do in order to scream? Okay, I want you to scream right now without taking a breath. Everybody, scream. 1, 2, 3. Excuse me. Okay, take a breath and scream. Yes?
Yes, you
Yes.
have to breathe to scream.
So anger has nothing to do with anything here. Here, I am grasping for air. That's all there is. So when we go to the doctor and we say, we cannot breathe anymore, and we need some, whatever, medication, all you need is to breathe. When you go to doctor and say, I have a depression, I'm crying a lot, all you need sometimes is just to breathe. Oh yeah, it started happening. Okay, so let's take a breath.